Good day, everybody. My name is Helenique Argeru for Women of Truth. We organize these conferences, a Facebook group called Women of Truth X Factor, and many collaborations with global women around the world. Today, we are so lucky because we are joined by Jennifer Pfifster. She's from Switzerland, but also now living in Holland, studying with plans to go abroad and study further in areas of psychology. She's really a fascinating young woman who is going to help us answer the question of what young women are really needing and wanting in the world nowadays. So many things have changed for millennials, like we call them, but as you'll see, Jennifer, who is a One Young World Ambassador and Head of Innovation at Women in Innovation and Leadership, there are so many young women nowadays really with their finger on the pulse to create some new and interesting ways to support women at a younger age. So welcome to you, Jennifer. It's so lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
So we met at this by chance speed dating meeting with one of the collaborators for Women of Truth conferences in Rotterdam called Women Business Initiative International, WBII. I missed you there, but I saw your card, loved the logo, and I knew we just need to connect. So I'm really happy to meet you. Tell us a little bit about what you're studying now and what will Women in Innovation and Leadership, the student organization that you run together with Sarah, who we've spoken to as well. And if you haven't seen that interview, by the way, go off and see it so that you can also get Sarah's take on it. Tell us a little bit about how you see that organization, why you joined, and what else you're studying and what you're really interested in.
Okay, hi. So I study right now governance, economics, and development at Leiden University, but I'm also aiming to study sociology and social psychology. And why I joined WIL is basically, or why I was involved in creating this organization is because I really noticed a lack of collaboration between young women. So I noticed that there were incredible people right next to me, living next to me, studying next to me, but there was not really a space to get to know each other besides the classroom setting, and also because I really believe that we can learn a lot from each other. And also I just saw a very high potential in this organization, this very idea that we're going to create a collaborative space, a space for self-growth, personal development, but also professional development. And since then, like since last year, April, it was my task to invite speakers, organize workshops, lectures, and like we had incredible speakers, and like talking to females, professionals who have gone already their path is really just so inspiring and gave me personally a lot of confidence, like trusting my ability, seeing, okay, in life, everything works out. We don't have to worry as much as we often do, because that's also something I notice in university, like anxiety levels amongst women. And it's just beautiful to see like the development within oneself, but also within the others. So I think we've been, like, it was a very good journey, and we've been very successful in impacting our members and each other, and like learning from each other. So yeah, that's what WIL is about. What WIL is about for me personally, personal development, but also preparation for what is ahead of us, because right now we're at the very beginning at our bachelor's.
Yeah. And what do you see most women are struggling with at this age, at this point? You said collaboration is one thing. So you really facilitate that with women getting more professional, more aware of how to work together without competition and without collaboration. What else do you think they are needing, or what do you see they struggling with?
So a big thing that I really realized is confidence and belief in oneself. I really could see that for my own, like always this idea of not being enough, I would call it. And I really was shocked to notice that all the others also struggle with it, because I've seen so many intelligent, like just amazing, smart, beautiful women, students I always admired a lot, but then also realizing they also have real self-confidence issues. And I think this is something that we need most, because I'm someone who believes that it really starts from within. Like, you need to be stable, you need to believe in yourself, in your ideas, in your capacities. And once you embrace this like confidence, this belief in yourself, by having a supportive network that reminds you of your abilities, big things happen. At least that's like my personal journey has really taught me that. But yeah, I think really confidence is key here for everything else. Like, it starts with confidence.
Yeah, and I just put something up for February month, which is normally Valentine's Day month, to be about self-love. And I remember,
Self-love.
before speaking with you, I put this post saying, tell us if you agree that love starts from within, that
Yes.
we have to generate the love for ourselves in order to attract love from outside. But somehow it's difficult when we've been programmed as women. I think somehow we really struggle with whether we are enough somehow. And even older women really talk about that being the biggest lie that women believe. So I'm going to ask you now, what was your biggest challenge? Like you said, you struggle a little with that yourself too, and you happy to see others also have that, because then it's not just you, that it's something you share with others, and maybe you can grow together. Would you say there's anything else that's been like a real challenging point for you that you'd be willing to share, that you had a breakthrough around in your life, and what did you learn from that?
So like one that you just mentioned, I was also thinking about the biggest lies women often believe, and I've also believed, is the really like I am not enough attitude. That's really what I also observed in my environment a lot. For example, I'm not good enough or not smart enough to speak up in class. I'm not experienced enough to have a paid internship, or I'm not experienced enough to start my own project like I now did, realizing, having this click during the One Young World Summit, that actually I have everything it takes to start this project. And also with Women Innovation and Leadership, we started as like female bachelor students with no prior background knowledge on how to run an organization, and had real impact. So like this, I'm not enough, or not I'm capable of doing big things yet. I think that's a huge lie many of us believe. But then another misperception or false idea I identified is also this attitude. I think it's like also with competition, you mentioned a little bit. I have to work, like the idea, I have to work super hard and like almost sacrifice everything to do great things. That's something I realize I also often believed, but like we really need to learn to take care of ourselves and to love ourselves and to take rest, do sports, like these, like do things that make us truly happy to reach our goals. Because I really think, or I observe, that a lot of people just work very, very, very hard, believing that that's the way to reach their goals. Right. But I don't think it is. If we see that like burnout rates are going up, that people are living with anxiety, this is very worrying.
Yeah, you hit on so many important points. So for you, the breakthrough was around realizing that you are enough and that you have everything it takes to run this organization, even as a bachelor student. You understand what young women need because you're one of them, right? So I congratulate you so much on that. And it really is a time where maybe as an older woman speaking to you now, I want to say something to you about the morphogenetic field. It's really an interesting thing to just mention here because we haven't ever talked about it, and I don't know if I will again, but there's a really interesting piece of research that was done in behavioral psychology in the 50s. Mm-hmm. It's a whole long story. Somebody can go and read it up. It's called the Sheldrake experiment. But what it proved was that when people learn something, they actually feed that intelligence into this unified field of collective consciousness, like Jung called it, but really we also now have a quantum physics idea that says we are all connected, almost like this grid, like the movie Matrix, right? And meaning that when we learn something, we plug it in there, or it is plugged in there already, because it's been learned by humankind. And then for someone else to come along and learn it later, it's easier. And
Yeah.
this is a phenomenal idea, and a phenomenon that people were really confused by when it was happening in the research, that the mice could learn to get through the labyrinth even quicker than the previous batch of mice. And they kept thinking, oh, well, the groups are getting contaminated. These mice are teaching the other mice how to get through the maze and find the cheese quicker. We must have made a mistake. But then they repeated this experiment again in China, and they saw, well, the mice can get to the cheese just as quickly, like what's going on? Then they started uncovering and trying to explain that intelligence and learning and education is actually evolving our whole species forward, meaning that if many, many women have been planting these seeds for so long, for more and more women to be able to be ambitious, to do great things, for this to happen even younger in their lives, for them not to have to trip and fall and have to stand up again so many times. Maybe they only trip and fall 4 times instead of 8. Then
Yes.
there's a theory that proves that, that's saying it really is possible for all of you young women to be enough for what the future needs and to stand up even sooner and make things happen. And you're doing that, and it's wonderful to hear that. And that's why I want to really support Will, and I hope to be in collaboration with what you're doing. I'm wondering how you put together the challenges that these women have on your agenda, right? And you've told me about your big breakthrough. The biggest lie that women believe is that they're not enough, and that they don't have what it takes to do what they really need to do, and that they have a responsibility to take care of themselves well, to learn how to educate themselves about potential struggles, challenges, burnout, for example, many others, and to also be actively pursuing what it is that they're here to do, because there's an accountability that takes and skills that takes. So you're on the map. If you were to say 3 things that you think make it very difficult for women at your age to really believe in themselves, you said confidence is one of them. Maybe we can brainstorm 2 other skills that you think could really help them from what you've seen and what you've experienced.
One thing before we come to talk about skills, as I was just thinking, is really also like the contact to other inspiring role models, because this is something that really changed my whole and like the others' perception on what is awaiting us, what is like how to overcome challenges. So I really feel like the very exchange with women like you and others we had invited to Will, who have already so much wisdom, so much experience, that was very, very valuable for us to realize like all these things like self-worth, self-care, because we had also some speakers who came to us who talked about their experience with burnout, their experience with balancing ambitions and personal life and all these things, and also like the struggles they overcame at in male dominated industries. So that was very, very valuable. I feel like the dialogue between women, like the intergenerational dialogue, this is like very, very important to prepare us. And this was really key. But other skills, of course, would be, I think, also again, realization that we need each other, that we need allies. Like, so a skill here would be like personal skills. Also like building meaningful, nurturing relationships also with other women, but also of course with males who have also, by the way, supported us greatly. And we also have some male members, which is like beautiful thing. And then another skill, I would say, let me think. So yeah, confidence, as I said, personal skills, and then also just like for me it's really also trust in the future, like the skill to let go like all your worries, let go everything, like this kind of switching off the little voice that tells you you can't or you won't, or you like trust in the process of becoming, in the process of we are evolving. We can still be whatever we want to be, and we can reach all our boldest goals.
Fantastic.
And be brave and dare. Like that's also, I feel like, almost a skill you need nowadays in a society that like often pushes you back.
Yeah, like a ability to be risk taking.
Exactly, risk taking. That's a good one. Yeah, trust. Exactly. I feel like this is a little bit like, yeah, this goes hand in hand. Like trust that things will work out and take the risks. Dare to think big.
Yeah.
And to, yeah.
And you know, there's one more I'd add. So we've got confidence, we've got trusting the future and the process of becoming. I love that. It's very powerful to say the word becoming. Becoming is such a powerful word. We used to call a woman of truth, woman become the truth in ancient Greek. That's the direct translation. So I love this word becoming. Mentorship, like really seeing role models, really interacting with that, the ability to collaborate and to really interconnect, to build intergenerational relationships, but even peer relationships, and to find how you support each other and how you complete each other in terms of team building and all kinds of collaborative processes, risk taking. And I would add to this, and I want to know what your opinion is, conflict resolution. And I'll tell you why.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because I think even the inner conflict of like wanting this and not getting it, and or like you apply for this and then it turns out to be different, or you have a real issue with your boss, or you have someone you want to partner with but they betray you, and or you end up really hurting somebody and you don't really know how to resolve it. And very specifically, women going into male-dominated professions have to stand up into very conflicting and confusing and challenging situations where they threaten the status quo of others, and there could very potentially be all kinds of unconscious reasons why women would step down, step back, and go back to this idea that they're not good enough. So being able to meet the challenge with real skills, and I think it's a hard one because there are not many people who can and are able to teach that. We have a great lady on our network, and a network of women that do, called Judith Moret. She teaches this very much in Barcelona, and together with a few rest of us, we do this work. But we're really researching to understand what is the conflict space that needs resolution. And I'm asking you now, as a young person, you haven't really started working yet in an organization or applying your skills necessarily into a career platform. But when you look at conflict as a young person in the world, and you look at it between women and men, and or between women and women, what would you say are the issues that the conflict happens around? Just to help me with my research. It would be very fascinating to know your opinion about that.
I mean, conflict is such a big part of our life and everyday life. And I think like you raised a very important point by saying like conflict resolution skills we're really not taught adequately right now, be it in personal relationships, be it in like the working space. However, actually I was also doing research on intimate partner violence, and like a big thing a psychologist told me was actually that she believes that one of the key reasons why we have like domestic violence, which is such a huge phenomenon in society, is actually that people don't learn how to have a conflict like in a non-violent way. So I really agree that this is an important skill to have even beyond the professional sphere. But what are conflict areas? I feel like it is really between women and men. Often it is really this like challenging the status quo, like women being perceived as a threat to the current system, to the current hierarchy or power configuration. This is definitely, I feel like, a big one, even though sometimes maybe even an unconscious one. I'm not sure whether a lot of men would agree or openly say that they really feel threatened by women coming now in higher positions, because of course we live in very interesting times where women reach higher positions and overcome the glass ceiling. So I think that's a big conflict area, like this new the threat to the status quo. Then between women, competition, definitely, or like the belief that we're competing for, like, first of all, like competition as an ideology of like I want to be the best, and like if she's doing great things then it diminishes myself. So this very like wrong idea, this is probably one, but also then has to do with ego. So I feel like often conflict is also due to lack of confidence and believing that we are competing over the same things, wanting to be the best, but often actually we are not, and we could get much further if we would like support each other. So yeah, I think these are big ones.
Beautiful. I think we're going to build this program together for young women. And I want to just add in that it's a very, very top priority for me, because what I've seen is that women are getting enough of the role models. They're getting enough of the mentoring opportunity, but maybe not refined enough, but there are opportunities for that. There's a lot of people that are doing a lot of pseudo-confidence training and building, but I think you can access that, get skills training. Collaboration is always possible, but you can always train a bit more on how to do that. But this last one, trusting the future and the sense of becoming, and conflict resolution skills on these different areas, are two things that I think are really, really important. So one way we can maybe really solve that is to train women to become visionaries, like how to see the future possibilities, how to really trust that, how to tap into the unified field that supports us all the time, but then also how to learn some really tricky skills around what to do when you are met with challenges and struggles that actually cause a lot of tension for you. So let's move on, Jennifer. I think it's very exciting talking to you. And I want to go into this new project that you're involved with, which you now are calling an educational platform. Yeah. Really, but it's a global educational platform that actually helps connect educational organizations that can provide digital and entrepreneurial skills to females. So I wanted to really talk about this because we have so many collaborators at Women of Truth that are on this point and are recognizing that the one area where women businesses are falling down, and I echo this because I have loads of colleagues and I myself have struggled so much, is the area of online marketing and the technology we really need to fly a business nowadays is so challenging and so complex, and it's very overwhelming for women, and they often throw themselves in there and start focusing on a whole lot of stuff that just leads them into an abyss, a labyrinth of confusion and overwhelm, mainly like social media, when in fact they need to learn very specific technical skills that are building blocks for a business that is in the sky, literally, which means it's very ungrounded and sometimes very lonely and really sometimes out of their genius zones. So tell me how you work on this project, and tell me what you need so that we can see how we can work together, and the network of women watching are going to be able to also be very clear about how they can contribute towards you and your dream.
Okay, amazing. So like, let me give you a little bit of context. So last year in autumn, I was chosen by Leiden University to go to the One Young World Summit, right? It's like a huge network of young change makers who really, really do amazing things. And it was during this conference in The Hague that I actually had a click and a vision, and like the idea about the platform I'm building right now, also with like amazing people. So what is the platform about? Basically, what I want to do is bring together already existing local education providers providers, because as student of international development, I'm also a little bit critical of how development is often done, and I really believe that the long-term sustainable impact we want to see and we want to achieve to to ensure prosperity for as many humans as possible is really by empowering local existing education organizations, like run by locals for locals. So what I want to do is identify already these existing organizations that offer digital and entrepreneurial skills to females for the moment, bring them together and bring them together in an online platform, and then facilitate the exchange of knowledge, exchange of experience between these actors, so they can basically consult each other, share materials. And because one of the big things I've noticed, because I've been volunteering and working in projects in Lebanon, Kenya, then I was also exchange student for 1 year in Mexico. So I've seen that there are brilliant organizations and initiatives done by locals for locals, but they are often lacking resources. So by connecting them and by creating this platform and unifying educational efforts instead of having a lot of small separated islands, I really hope to build this powerful platform that will help to improve the global provision of education. So I really wanted to start with digital entrepreneurial skills for females, because I understand that this is something that helps women to lead a self-determined life and also to reach their goals. And it's just crucial in nowadays world. So, but then in the future, I would like to open this project also to other topics, for example, health, connect also organizations that provide education to refugees, education in general. So what I need right now, or what I'm right now at the stage where I'm writing the concept, searching for a team, doing all the small steps, thinking about the name, the logo, the business plan and all these things. So I'm new to kind of business, even though this will probably be a non-profit. I like this very process of starting it now and making the vision translated into action. That's new to me. So if there are people who are experts in, be it marketing or formulating the idea, any advice is right now very valuable to me, because I really soon in few months want to apply for funding and really actually also develop the platform, the online platform, but then also think how we can make it even bigger and more powerful. So yeah, I could use any advice in any area right now.
Beautiful. So what we need to establish is who your stakeholders are, who your collaborators are, and who your supporters are. So yeah. Stakeholders is people that share the benefit. And these are people who are running an educational organization locally. You mean here in Holland?
No, so locals, but this can be in any region of the world. So for example, I had already, because through One Young World, obviously, I have a very large network, and I had already people who were interested from Kenya, from Rwanda, from Bangladesh, from Mexico. So local organizations that work on similar topics, but in their own settings, and connect them globally. Because online nowadays, it's very easy to connect those organizations.
Why do you call it locally then? I'm just confused by that.
Because locally, I mean, these organizations are run by locals for locals.
I see. Okay. So you're looking.
So we have, for example, an organization that offers coding for girls in Bangladesh. And this organization is run by locals for locals. And then there are many examples for this.
So why would you connect them to an international platform again?
So I would connect them because often they have, for example, let's say an organization that actually, I met a woman, also amazing woman, who does something very similar to what we do with Will here in The Hague. So we are based with Will in The Hague, but then at the One Young World Summit, I met this young woman who does very similar work in Azerbaijan. And like, we, even though we're in very different settings, the challenges for women are often the same. And her work, the kind of work she does, was also kind of similar to what we do, and just talking about it, experiencing knowledge, because she was expanding it. And like, from this we could learn. And I just believe that collaboration and exchange of information is useful across space. So there are very valuable things we can learn from each other.
So if we were to invite people to answer you, who would they be? Anyone running an organization?
Exactly. Anyone running an organization, experienced in project management, experienced in reaching out to donors, or like, all kinds of things. Like someone who develops, for example, like these kind of things, platforms, online platforms, strategic thinkers, graphic designers. Like right now, I'm happy to take any advice I can get. Also leaders, for example, who could mentor me on how to run a project, like a big project like this.
Okay, I'm very happy to mentor you, and I will anyway, and we have been doing that as we go along. I think it's important to also just let everybody know that you are based in Rotterdam, but you're doing this as an online platform, and you're wanting to invite anybody that educates anybody with technology skills and educational skills that help you build a business. Is it beyond that, or is it just to that aspect?
For the moment, it's this niche, just as you mentioned, digital and entrepreneurial skills for the moment, to start with the project and see what happens, because this is like, there's like nothing comparable at the moment. So it's a little bit like an experiment. Let's see what happens once we connect these organizations. But then obviously I would love to open it up to other topics, because I just realized that education is really education on any topic, on health, on well-being, on climate change, on all these big issues. We really need education. This is the way to change the world. And that's why we'll also open it up to other topics once this was successful. So this is like just the first niche to start with.
Okay. So when you speak about being able to support them, what actually will you be offering?
Sorry, offering whom? The organizations that become part of the network? Okay, so they get access to a platform, or they get access to information. They can see what other projects in the world are out there doing similar things. So for example, if I'm an NGO based, let's say in Romania, and I just started locally working, but I don't have material. So I can see, okay, there's a very similar project in Brazil. Okay, maybe language-wise, this is now a little bit problematic, but let's say if we had two countries that speak the same language, like they could share, for example, schooling material, or they could share even just also mentoring. For example, I want to know how it can better involve the community. Let's ask an organization that has done something similar. And also, it doesn't have to be only organizations from different countries. They can even be within countries, because something I realized in Lebanon is that often a lot of organizations do similar things, have similar target groups, but don't collaborate with each other. So if we can even like achieve collaboration regionally, that would be already a big step. So they benefit from the exchange, hopefully, by learning from each other, from each other's experiences. But a long-term goal I would have is also to bring in donors. So donors who say, okay, I want to be supporting a local project. through us, through our platform, they get access. They have, like, you have to imagine it like a world map where they can see, okay, there's this and this project for this and this group. So they can click on it and see exactly what this project does, and then donate directly to this local organization. So that's also something our members will hopefully benefit from. And then another long-term vision I have is to organize also regional summits to basically the whole idea is to help already existing organizations to increase their local impact. That's what we want to achieve and how we want to help them.
Right, so I'm going to obviously air this video and people will watch it, and if they are part of that, we can take it further. Just keep in mind also that there is a really interesting group in Cyprus that are doing a support website for startups. So it could be a great collaboration between you and them to just be speaking to each other, because you could be helping each other, and these are the kind of stakeholders that I mean. Then we're looking now at this whole women's movement, all these wonderful opportunities that are available for women out there, many different projects running in different ways for women and women's support.
Mm-hmm.
When there is a platform like the one that you're developing, are you going to be able to share some of this education on that platform, or is your objective to really just connect the different people up together?
No, that's also something I'm looking into, definitely. And I've been talking about it also with different people, organizations. Also, there's this beautiful movement right now, the Unity Conference, which also promotes like this holistic worldview. And this is something I'm definitely also thinking about, to have, for example, free schooling material that then all organizations have access to. But of course, they can choose whether they want to use it. So I don't want this organization to impose anything on anyone, but if we could provide free schooling material, information, that would be actually amazing. But we would have, of course, we would need experts and make sure that this material we spread is, has a certain quality. And of course, there comes a lot of responsibility with it, but that's definitely something I'd like to look into also once we have this network.
Great. So you've given us a great picture of what you're passionate about. We're wishing you the best for the future.
Thank you.
We want to give you a chance to really name 3 words that remind people of what's really important for you. They can be connected or they can be separate, up to you. But these are 3 words that really help people know a bit more about you and your cause and who you really are.
Okay, I think the first one would be, definitely because it comes naturally to my mind, is passion, because I really feel like this is something like that defines me, like it drives me, really, the passion. But the second is connected, it's humanity, really giving people the chance to live a life in dignity. And I'm someone who really is on a mission for humanity. I want to promote like unity between humans, and really, humanity is actually the love of humanity. Love for humanity is the reason why I do the things I do. And the third one is curiosity. So being curious, being motivated to learn, to meet new people, to realize that behind every human, behind every encounter, there's an opportunity. And curiosity, I think, is something that brings people very far in life. And it is also very like the core of humans, being curious. And
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much. Passion, humanity, and curiosity. I absolutely love that. Lovely to have you with us today. Thank you so much for coming and speaking to me. And we wish you the best at will. And I'll be very happy.
Thank you so much.
More. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.